In the heart of the city, there's a lady so divine, with a gift so rare she can read between the lines, unlocking mysteries. She's the one we all admire. With a touch of magic, she sets our souls on fire. From psychic readings to rosemary oil so pure, her spirit shines bright. Of that I am sure. On TV she graces the screen with grace. Her presence is a blessing in every time and place. Pop culture psychic, in tune with the stars. She sees beyond the veil, even beyond Mars. And when the night falls, Tracey after dark, her wisdom illuminates like a powerful spark. So if you seek guidance, look no further than her door. Tracey Brown live where wisdom does soar. Through the realms of the unseen, she'll light your way. With every word she speaks, darkness turns to day. Tracey Brown live, the beacon of light, guiding us through the shadows of night. Her voice like a melody, so pure and strong. In her presence, we know we belong. From psychic readings to rosemary oil so pure, her spirit shines bright. Of that I am sure. On TV, she graces the screen with grace. Her presence is a blessing in every time and place. Pop culture psychic, in tune with the stars. She sees beyond the veil, even beyond Mars. And when the night falls, Tracey after dark, her wisdom illuminates like a powerful spark. So if you seek guidance, look no further than her door. Tracey Brown live where wisdom does soar. Through the realms of the unseen, she'll light your way. With every word she speaks, darkness turns to day. Tracey Brown live, the beacon of light, guiding us through the shadows of night. Her voice like a melody, so pure and strong. In her presence, we know we belong. Tracey Brown live, the beacon of light, guiding us through the shadows of night. Her voice like a melody, so pure and strong. In her presence, we know we belong.
Hi, y'all. How are you doing? I am doing episode 3 of Tracey on Strand. Of course, my intention is to explain to you all how I happen to have 100 days of hell with someone that I did try to date. And actually did date for one day, like committed to dating. I don't even know how, but I don't know. But thank God it ended in less than 24 hours, which is hilarious. But I'm actually doing Tracey on Strand because Strand is probably one of the most comedic places I've ever stood on. It's absolutely beautiful and crazy. So, I'm going to tell you about today's adventure. And you might judge me, and that's fine. But a lot of you don't know that I constantly will find myself in the predicament that I'm going to talk about right now. So, Strand has quite a few homeless people that live out of a hotel that is one of the most prominent hotels. And they're homeless, and yet they are groundskeepers, let's say that, to put it mildly. And one of the groundskeeper, I'll call him that because I don't want to call out his name, I have found to be amazing. However, just a little batshit crazy. Now, his form of crazy I get. And so when he would come talk to me about what he knows, and he would talk about, like, things like Elon, maybe this, that, and the third. And he would just say things, and we would have these conversations that would be like letting him know that I get you. I get what you're saying. I don't believe that you're crazy. I never said that to him ever. He would be like, people think I'm crazy. And I would say to him, just keep talking. I get it. And so over, like, I don't know, I've been there. He told me that he's been there 8 months, and I've been there over a year. So I came first and he came afterwards. And he was very quiet and very dedicated to creating, like, this path that the place needed. And then he started expressing himself in ways that was just confusing, elaborate, sometimes threatening. And he used to just say things like, he's like, I'll just blow this whole shit up. And he'd be like, oh. And he goes, I could. And I'd be like, I know you could. We don't want to, I would say things like, we don't want to. He goes, no, of course I don't want to. And I'd be like, okay. So he's expressive. He's white. Sometimes uncolor people say crazy things like that. And sometimes they mean it, Giles. And sometimes they don't. So I made sure that, like, he understood that I understood him, regardless of what he was saying. And sometimes, I swear to God, we would talk for like 2 or 3 hours. And sometimes I would ask God, I'd be like, why am I, like, listening to this for hours? But it wasn't just him. I realized that. Like, the whole block is crazy. So he is one of many, but each one carries a different set of crazies. And I think just being a psychic and a spiritualist, and everyone knows that I'm a psychic because I don't hide it. And he's like, oh, you're a psychic, so you completely understand. So he would talk about, like, telepathy this, telepathy that, intergalactic this, and talking to the moon, and be like, yeah, I talk to the moon too. And eventually I was just like, yeah, no, I hear you. He goes, and the moon talks back to me. And I was like, right? I get you. And so he loved that he could have someone to talk to about this, because in our world, in the spiritual world, if somebody says to you, the cats are talking to me, technically you should be on a psych ward, right? Like, that's what I would think if you were to talk to the humans, right? But if you talk to someone that's spiritual and, like, gets it, I'd be like, oh, what did the cat tell you? And then, depending upon what they say, I could be like, oh, crazy. Or I could be like, fuck, the cat is really talking to this person. Either way, I don't call you out to be crazy. Whether you are crazy, whether you're not crazy, if that cat is talking to you, please let me know what the cat says. Now, this is the reason why. So, years ago, when I was a kid, I might have been 9 or 10 years old, there was this guy in the Bronx, I believe. I think he targeted the Bronx, and his name was Uncle Sam, some fat, uncolor guy, right? And with these beady brown eyes, right? When they finally caught him, then it was like, that's Uncle Sam, right? It doesn't matter. Like, he looked so innocent, and he was like, that's Uncle Sam? Like, you expected him to look crazy, but he didn't look crazy, but it was fucking crazy. In any case, if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, but Uncle Sam, his dog told him what to do. And I was 10 or 9. I don't think I was any more than 10, no less than 9. I don't think I was 8 because I remember too much details. And I remember he said, my dog told me to do what I do. And he turned out to be like this weird sniper. Like, one minute he had a plan and everybody was analyzing the plans. He only takes out brunettes. And then one day he went after a blonde. Like it was weird. He only goes after women. And one day he went after men. And it was like, oh my God. Like, and I remember being a non-psychic at 10 or 9 because I didn't know what a psychic was at the time. But I remember thinking, man, they got it all wrong. But he terrified New York City. I mean, terrified. You could not be found because he only came out at night. You couldn't be found after dark, right? And I think it was in the winter time because I remember people having on jackets. It was either like early fall or winter. And so ever since then, I'm sorry guys, it's so late. It's not late. It's only 11:30. Ever since then, whether I knew it or not, in the psychic world, pay attention for me, right? Because sometimes talking to a psychic is safer than talking to a counselor, right? Or a therapist or a psychologist or a psychiatrist because when you talk to them, immediately they label you. I'm not allowed to label people, but those uber professionals, immediately they go into diagnosis mode. And it's like, hey, can I talk? Can I talk? Like, oh, that's this, that, and the third. That's what you're going through. And it's like, can we wait 5 sessions in before you diagnose me? Psychics aren't allowed to diagnose. And so sometimes people have a bigger freedom to talk to someone because it feels like counseling to them. It is not. It is not. However, I have learned that I've taken counseling courses, I've taken a certificate in counseling, a certificate in domestic violence, and I have learned that giving people that have a complaint, the complaint could be something sad, it could be something angry, it could be something informative, right? Like giving them something to live for, providing inspirational tools for them to continue on is what I've learned in my psychic world. So if somebody comes to me and they're like, oh, I talk to cats, first thing I'm going to say is, what does the cat say to you? If they say something crazy, like the cat said to Uncle Sam, I'll be like, oh shit. Um, I think this is a reportable offense and I have to figure out a way. And I've actually done that, people. There are some people that did things that were completely unacceptable. And I've had to contact someone to say, this is happening. What do I do? And then get direction from that point forward. However, this homeless resident, um, groundskeeper, the only thing he ever said consistently was that I'll blow this place up. I guess, he could have been serious. I don't know. He could not have been serious. I really don't know. What I did know is that somewhere in my psychic realm, he was talking to me because I feel like I can't prove it because he never really said it, but I feel like I was safe for him. That he believed that me being a psychic understood some of the things that he was communicating with the outer world, right? And I promise you, he was absolutely right. And I would listen to him for months. Within the last 2 months, he was getting aggressive. And I don't think he knew he was getting aggressive. And it wasn't reportable, to be honest with you, because he kind of always said this. So if nobody else reported, I'm sure as hell not going to report it. But he was getting aggressive. And I do remember saying to myself, he's getting aggressive. And is he okay? Right? Then I thought, well, maybe he has too much time on his hand because he had cleared the path. And he made the place so beautiful. I said, maybe he has so much time on his hands. I notice when he's busy, he doesn't act out this way. Right? In any case. The one thing I've noticed is that Mondays are pretty quiet. Like all the shops are closed. And I moved a table that belonged to my boss, but that that bitch in the store uses. So I just take everything off the table and I moved the table closer to the door because I'm there by myself. So I don't want to be in the back of the shop. I'm in the front of the shop, right? And one day that bitch complained to my boss, and my boss complained, don't touch her table. And I was like, but this is the reason why. And he yelled at me. I don't care what the reason why, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, no, you have to care. One thing, guys, I don't get excited, even if I'm getting yelled at. By the way, don't yell at me. And I was like, no, you have to care because it's not, I don't believe it's safe here on Mondays. And so he couldn't really see it because he hadn't been there on Mondays in 2 months. And I said to him, like, you seem to favor this woman over me. I'm your damn clerk. Like, what is happening all the time? Like, relax. She might have a complaint, but you need to find out why. You don't ask me why. I usually put the stuff back. She's never the wiser, but I guess I didn't put the table back at the time, or I didn't put the components that were back on the table. She complained like a little bitch. And I was like, ah. Anywho. So one day he was there and he goes, it's so quiet. And I said, exactly. And that's why I told you why I moved the table. Now you see for yourself. I said, and by the way, I'm not coming on Mondays anymore. Because I can't tell if he's going to be there. If he is going to be there, great. But I can't always tell if he's going to be there. And that bitch is not there on Mondays and Tuesdays. Although I got to tell you, she was there yesterday and she fucking ruined my day. Like, she doesn't come until Wednesday. But wherever she went to go sell her ugly dolls, I call them ugly. What? All right, just not my cup of tea. My opinion. They're ugly. My opinion. And in any case, wherever she goes to on Mondays and Tuesdays, I think she's back now. And to be honest with you, I don't know if I can tolerate her on Mondays and Tuesdays. I might take Tuesdays off now. I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't know if I can take her on Tuesdays. Like, it's just too much. Anywho, we're talking about the homeless guy. So the other day he says to me, can I have your number? And I said, absolutely not. And he goes, why? I said, because you're the type to accuse me of getting inside your phone and giving away secrets, and I don't need that kind of bullshit in my life. And I walked away from him, getting ready to go home today, and I see where they're kicking him out. And I said, what's happening? And he says, I'm getting kicked out. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And so I'm about to leave when he says, can you give me a ride? I was like, fuck, 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 fuck. And I'm very calm. You guys don't know. I keep a straight face. Inside, I'm going, what the fuck? There were so many things I was worried about. So he's technically homeless. I can't guarantee how often he washes. Crazy white guy. Um, I was worried about like bed bugs and stuff like that in my car. Oh man. But I kind of listened to the Spirit of God inside of me. And the Spirit of God told me, as I was like stunned and looking at him and afraid to answer. And I was just staring at him. And I'm talking inside my head because, hello, I'm as crazy as he is. That's why I understood him. And I say, God, what about the dirt? I'm thinking, like inside my head, like, oh, what about the dirt? And he had boxes and boxes. He was so fucking neat, though. I was really shocked at how neat he packed, like at least 10 boxes. And I hear God say, remember how he protected you every Monday? And I was like, oh, is that what he was doing? Because he would talk to me for hours. And I would be like, why? I didn't even know it was every Monday, right? And then God said, I think it was God. Anywho, could be God, Jesus, any one of my ancestors, but the spiritual world. And then God said, remember when there was a shooting and you didn't have anything to worry about? The first person he found was you. And he told you to get the fuck inside. I was like, oh man, he really did do that. Meanwhile, I'm just standing there in a daze. Thank God he was talking to two other guys, and everybody's so aggressive here on the island. So they were like, "Bah, bah, 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 bah," and I could hear what they were saying because he was saying he expected some Garfield grumbling guy to come pick him up, and the other guy was cussing him out. I was like, oh my God, what the fuck? He's like, yeah, remember you? Remember? Like, this is karma, he was saying to him. He's like, you took my plumbing job. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Like, I'm just worried about bed bugs and you guys are arguing. See? And I was like, fuck. And he was like, I know, dude, I know, but that's not my fault. Oh my God. I'm just listening. I'm like, oh my God, please help me. As God is talking to me and telling me that every single Monday, this guy sat with me for hours because he understood that I felt some kind of way. And I was like, wow. So it didn't take much to convince me. And I looked at the homeless groundskeeper and I said, sure, I'll take you. And I thought for a nanosecond that he thought that I was going to leave and not come back. And I looked him straight in the eye and I said, I'm only going to get my car. I'll be back for you. So the guy he was arguing with, who God knows I don't remember his name, but he comes and every practically day or every other day, he brings me star fruit. One of my favorite fruit. I posted it on a video once. Absolutely my favorite star fruit, right? So I was walking with him and we were talking about like everything that's been going on. I was like, explain this whole plumbing thing. And he's like, yeah, I was hired to be the plumber. And he took my job. I said, oh, I get it now. I get it. He's like, so I'm mad with him. He's a black guy. He's like, I'm mad with him. I was like, yeah, I get it. I get it. So I get in my car and I get to the homeless white guy groundskeeper, let's call him. And I said to him, I was like, do you need me to help you? He goes, no. And he packs everything in. And there was even room to pack more stuff. Like the way he packed his belongings and then the way he packed it in the car, it was such precision and we still had room left. And I was like, fuck. To myself, I was like, fuck. So we're driving. He's like, can you take me to the supermarket? I do. He goes shopping. Again, homeless groundskeeper, but it's actually very funny. He goes full grocery shop. I was like, God help me. I'm sitting in the car. He comes back. They help him with his groceries. Most funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen him with so much groceries where he lived, let alone now he's really homeless. Oh my God, this is hilarious. He goes full on food shopping, right? So they help him out with his groceries, and he looks at me and he goes, I'm waiting for my deli. Why wouldn't he be waiting for his deli? Of course he would be waiting for his deli. I've never seen this man eat this much. I promise you, I've been there the whole time he's been there. I've seen him bring home a bag of potato chips, right? Oh my God, the funniest shit ever. So he's got the groceries in the front at his feet. He's sitting in the front. Everything's in the back. And then I, uh, long story short, I've taken him before to a location. One day I found him walking, and I was like, ah. And he's like, hey, can you take me somewhere? And I was like, sure. And so I took him. Don't even ask questions. I kind of do crazy things. So this time around, I said, where are you going? And he says to me, the same place where you've taken me before. So because I've been there before, there were apartments there, I was like, okay, but I couldn't fathom him and his belongings and being homeless, right? So he gets his groceries, gets his deli, gets in a car. We start to drive by, and I know exactly where to turn because I've taken him before. And he goes, no, go further. And I was like, oh. He's like, yeah, I'm going to take you on the other side. And as I'm driving, in my mind, I'm going, I'm a, what? Oh my God, it's too late. So he looks at me and he must have felt my nervousness and he goes, here's 20 for being so kind. And at first I said no, and I heard Spirit say, take it. He needs to give it to you. You need to show him gratitude. So I looked at him and I said, thanks, Steve. And we're still driving, and he takes me down a right turn somewhere, and then a right turn again. And then there was a fork in the road. And on the left side was paved. Anything that's paved is most likely homes. Most likely. We took a right turn and it's a rocky road. Like never been touched. Nothing lives down there. And again, I was like, oh, I'm in trouble. And so I keep driving and I said to him, I have to be careful because I don't know if Betsy, which is the name of my car, I don't know if she's going to be able to get out. And yet I'm still driving, right? And so I guess something could have happened. But in all actuality, I believe that the groundskeeper is probably more safer than the guy that I recently dated. I swear to God. And so I also trust the Spirit of God in me. And he had so much stuff that there was just no way I could, at this point, panic and tell him, no, no, I can't do this. So I just did it. I trusted God. And I just kept going further. By the way, in the woods, untethered property. Like the only thing, when we stopped, the only thing I saw was a bunch of appliances because people dump their appliances. That way they don't have to pay fees to get rid of their. And I was like, fuck, what fucking filthy people. And like it's property management owners that do stupid shit like this because they know like the police aren't coming down here. And then I thought about it. I was like, oh shit, the police aren't coming down here. Fuck. In any case, I finally stopped. Not where he want. If I could have gone further, he would have wanted me to go further. But I said, I have to stop here. There's no way Betsy can make this road. And so he agreed. And he goes, you're right. And he gets out. He unloads 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Did not make me frightened or anything. He unloaded, got his groceries. And then he kept saying, which I found interesting. He said, I hope nobody steals my stuff. And I said, Steve, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to mention his name. I said, we're in the middle of fucking nowhere. I promise you, your stuff is fine. You're gonna be fine. Nobody is coming down here. And he goes, yeah. And I was like, yeah. And so I looked at him. He got his stuff out very quickly, and I looked at him and I said, Steve, it was nice knowing you. And I almost cried because there was something spiritual about Steve that was there when I needed him, even though I didn't know I would need him, but God knew. And so when it was time to help Steve out, even though he took me in a remote part of goddamn nowhere, like there was something in that I had to do, even if it doesn't make sense to you. I knew I had to. And short of hugging him, I just looked him dead in the eyes and I was like, hear me with my eyes. I was like, hear me. I said, Steve, thank you for your friendship. I really, really appreciate you. And I said, help me back out. And he did. And off I went, leaving my poor friend in the wilderness. The end.
In the heart of the city, there's a lady so divine, with a gift so rare she can read between the lines, unlocking mysteries. She's the one we all admire. With a touch of magic, she sets our souls on fire. From psychic readings to rosemary oil so pure, her spirit shines bright. Of that I am sure. On TV she graces the screen with grace. Her presence is a blessing in every time and place. Pop culture psychic, in tune with the stars. She sees beyond the veil, even beyond Mars. And when the night falls, Tracey after dark, her wisdom illuminates like a powerful spark. So if you seek guidance, look no further than her door. Tracey Brown live where wisdom does soar. darkness turns to day. Tracey Brown lit the beacon of light, guiding us through the shadows of night. Her voice like a melody, so pure and strong. In her presence, we know we belong. From psychic readings to rosemary oil so pure, her spirit shines bright, of that I am sure. On TV, she graces the screen with grace. Her presence is a blessing in every time and place. Pop culture psychic, in tune with the stars. She sees beyond the veil, even beyond Mars. And when the night falls, Tracey after dark, her wisdom illuminates like a powerful spark. So if you seek guidance, look no further than her door. Tracey Brown live where wisdom does soar. Through the realms of the unseen, she'll light your way. With every word she speaks, darkness turns to day. Tracey Brown lit the beacon of light, guiding us through the shadows of night. Her voice like a melody, so pure and strong. In her presence, we know we belong. Tracey Brown lit the beacon of light, guiding us through the shadows of night. Her voice like a melody, so pure and strong. In her presence, we know we belong.